What's going on YouTube? So in Toyota's really large portfolio of crossovers, the Crown Signia represents a unique upscale offering. And today we are with the latest 2026 model, which adds a new stylish option this year. So, is this way more premium than a RAV4 for not a lot more money? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So let's kick things off with a quick spec dump. You have just one powertrain option for this Crown Signia. It's Toyota's 4th gen hybrid system, which is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder with 2 electric motors to make 240 horsepower. It's paired with standard all-wheel drive and an eCVT. Combined fuel economy is 38 mpg.
Now the base price of the Crown Signia this year is $44,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now we actually were able to live with this model for a full week, so we have some special things to share, such as our real-world fuel economy, but we need to start with the exterior, talk about the changes there, as well as the inside first.
Now like I mentioned at the beginning, this Crown is an upscale alternative to something like the RAV4, and actually we went and checked. A limited RAV4 with no options and a Crown Signia with no additional options are about $5,000 apart. So, as you can see when you first walk up to this vehicle, one of the things that Toyota is emphasizing with this is a little bit more of a premium look than something like a RAV4. So you've got a very sleek overall design. It's still got that mostly body color grille like many Toyotas, but everything's going to be a little bit more smoothed out. Now, as far as your headlights, those are going to be a separated unit. So in the center section here, we've got our standard projector LED. This has auto leveling on the limited trim. And then up at the top, we have our daytime running light with the turn signal indicator. The headlight performance is quite good at night. And moving on to the back, the sleek and sophisticated design continues.
Yeah, and let's break down some of the individual design touches. So we have a spoiler up here at the top. We have that kind of, sleek design as we head into the glass. We have the rear window wiper, and let's take a look at our taillights. So as you would expect out of one of the flagship level SUVs in the Toyota lineup, we have a full LED taillight unit that includes all of your accenting, your brake light, your turn signal, and then your reverse light is integrated down here in the bumper area. Now, speaking of the bumper area, all of this is going to be a piano black. As far as the tow rating, that's 2,700 pounds, which actually is a little bit less than a RAV4 all-wheel drive, which is 3,500 pounds.
Next up, we have the wheels, where you've got the choice between 19-inch alloys and these 21-inch alloys on the limited trim. Obviously, this is quite a large size for a vehicle of this class, and they look really nice. You have a gloss black finish that goes around the wheel arches and the lower part of the body, and that continues up here to our mirrors as well. These come equipped with standard blind spot monitoring and heating. Also, the advanced technology package adds in the puddle lamps.
Now here at the side of the Crown Signia, you will notice that it's long and low. It's 194 inches in overall length, which means it's about 13 inches longer than something like a RAV4. And of course, it's also going to be a little bit on the shorter side. Now, as far as design touches, we have blacked out window surrounds. And one of the things that I really like that this model went for is the new for 2026 black roof option. This is going to be available on your limited trims, and it's available in 4 different exterior colors. This is, of course, like the copper color, and I think it looks really good and spices up the overall design. As far as your safety systems, you get all of those as standard equipment on the Crown Signia, so that includes things like adaptive cruise control. And furthermore, if you get the limited with the advanced package, that will include a couple extra goodies, including traffic jam assist and automatic lane changing, which we did find did not work too well this week. But guys, we have a lot to talk about on the inside, so let's go ahead and check that out. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, on to the inside. First, here's our key fob. You can see it has specific Crown branding. You have a standard smart entry system and remote start. We'll open it up by grabbing behind the door handle there, fold the mirrors outward. And then checking out this interior. It does share a lot of components with many of the other Toyota and Lexus products. And let's start out by talking about these seats, because speaking of Lexus, these seats feel like they are exactly out of any Lexus product. They are extremely comfortable. And one of the nice things about this Crown Signia is that it comes standard with real leather seats on both of the trim levels. You've got two different colors. You can get the black you see here. You can also get a saddle color for a little bit more richness. The seats themselves have 8 ways of adjustment plus your 2-way lumbar support. And we also have memory seats located up there on the door trim. But let's climb on inside. Now, as I close up the door, we can get into the rest of the cabin materials. I'll just go ahead and say they are certainly more premium than what you would get on a RAV4. More Lexus-like overall. So you've got the leatherette over here on your armrest portion, as well as through the entire center section. Soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is all a padded plastic. You have bronze accenting, which goes around your vents and through the center section. More leatherette runs through here. And then we have a pad down here on the driver's side for their knee to rest against. And we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now, as we jump into some individual features and details, this vehicle only having 2 trims, it does actually have a lot of standard features. Actually, you'll see that most things in the interior are standard for both the trims. That includes our digital gauge cluster. It is customizable with a few different designs. Just be aware you cannot get a head-up display. Now, as we move back to the steering wheel, we've got a leather-wrapped steering wheel. You have the bronze accenting to match the rest of the interior. It has manual tilt and telescoping for adjustment, and heating is standard equipment. One thing that is optional, though, are the rain-sensing wipers. That's on just the limited trim. All right, let's take a look now at our interior storage. Just like a Lexus, it opens side to side, and you'll see inside we've got donuts. That, of course, is for our signature donut test. And inside the console today we have 10 donuts, so that is going to be slightly under that dozen donut threshold, but it's decent. In front of that we have a couple cup holders, a little bit of storage right there with the USB connections, and then you have your wireless phone charging pad kind of oriented up and down. No additional storage up there though, so certainly compared to a RAV4 you have a lot less extra spaces to stick things. Now the shifter is the small electronic style. Just pull back for drive, go up for reverse. In reverse, you'll see either the standard backup camera on the XLE or the Limited gets this 360-degree camera system. There's our active trajectory, and overall resolution is pretty good. Press the P there for park. You also have an electronic parking brake with brake hold, and then your drive mode controller located right there. Now, as we continue to the center section, we have physical climate controls. This is a dual-zone automatic climate system, but what's more impressive than that is the fact that both your heated and your ventilated seats are standard on the XLE and the Limited trim levels. So again, pretty nice feature to have, and it does automatically sync with the general climate controls as well. Now, one thing you will have to get the Limited to unlock though is the premium 11-speaker JBL sound system. Let's give that a sample right now. Overall sound quality is pretty good. Definitely fills up the cabin nicely. Just in typical JBL fashion, the emphasis is on bass over the other details in the music. All right, zeroing in on our technology here, we've got a standard 12.3-inch display. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's what you're looking at right now. As I cycle back to Toyota's main system itself, I want to point out that unlike the new RAV4, this has not been updated to the latest and greatest system. So the performance is going to be a little bit slower and buggier compared to the RAV4. But overall, we didn't have too many problems with it this week. Up top here, we've got an auto dimming mirror with home link remotes. This also is the digital camera rear view mirror since we have the Limited trim. This is the optional dash cam. And then let me go ahead and slide back the sunshade for our panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this is a pretty large piece of glass. However, the front portion does not open up.
So now we need to talk about the rear seats of the Crown Signia. First and foremost, I want to hit space because I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with how much room you have back here. As I said on the outside, this is a very long vehicle, and that shows up when it comes to your rear legroom. Now, as far as the specs themselves, they say 37.1 inches of legroom, 38.1 inches of headroom. Honestly, I think they're being a little bit conservative because there feels like there's a lot more leg room back here. Now, of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler so I can test that out. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and look at that. We are sitting at 10.5 inches of extra knee room. So that does mean that it's bigger than something like a RAV4 in the real world, and I absolutely feel that back here. My feet can slide up underneath of the seats, and the seats themselves are very comfortable back here. They have a lot of plushness to them. Same perforated design. We have the fold-down center armrest with 2 cup holders inside. And as far as features, if you see it, it's actually standard on all of them. So you have rear vents back here. You also have the USB ports down below there. You have a little bit of a center tunnel. And then over on the door trim, you'll find a button that I'm also very happy to tell you is standard on every single model. Heated rear seats. So that's pretty bougie to be standard on all of them. The rest of the door trim is nicely done with soft touch plastic and leatherette all through the center section. And there's even a little bit of door storage down in the bottom. Walking up to the tailgate, we do have a hands-free power tailgate standard across the board, and let's talk about cargo capacity. So what we're sitting at is 25 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. If we fold those seats down, you get a maximum of 69 cubic feet. Now, they have actually included handles here in the cargo area to fold the seats down. As you can see, that makes that pretty easy to fold the second row. They fold 60-40 split, by the way, to give you that maximum 69 cubic feet. And honestly, that's going to be a pretty good space figure. It's almost identical to a Toyota RAV4, and compared to some of its competition in the mid-size space, it is going to be a little bit on the smaller side. Speaking of all the rivals you could be looking at, we'd recommend going to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the vehicles that this competes with and ranked them in individual categories, things like cargo space, interior technology, luxury features, powertrain choices, and even value. So depending on what category is most important to you, you can see your best options in each of those categories to really make an informed buying decision. Now, back to the Crown Signia. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. Now, you might notice those little kind of humps in the seat back itself. That's actually because those will fold out to make basically extend the floor to go completely to the front seat, so that's pretty nice. As far as the cargo length, 81 inches behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, which actually is very good. From behind the second row, 42 inches of length. The opening is 44 inches wide. And then the height, that is only going to be 27 inches tall. So that's really where you pay the price for this being kind of a squattier SUV, is the height in the cargo area. Now, as far as the load-in height, that's pretty good at 29 inches. Underneath of the floor, you have a little bit of space and what looks to be a spare tire, but it's actually not. You do not have a spare tire on this model. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Toyota Crown Signia. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now, but we need to start with a hard acceleration.
That was 60. So, for the Crown Signia, like we talked about on the spec dump at the very beginning, it's just one powertrain. They keep it really simple for this. It's the 4th gen Toyota hybrid system. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. It's paired with a couple electric motors, and the total system power is 240 horsepower. Overall, you know, it certainly can accelerate this vehicle in a perfectly adequate way. Just be aware that unlike the Crown sedan, you don't have that extra hybrid max option, which really dials up the performance.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had maybe offered that here on the Crown Signia. That would be a cool option to have, but overall, this is going to be more than enough power for the vast majority of people. This is, the same powertrain that they use in a ton of Lexus products, a ton of Toyota hybrids as well, that are even bigger than this Crown Signia. So really, it's a perfectly fine acceleration, that is for sure, and it's pretty similar to what we have in our RAV4 as well.
Now 0 to 60 is 7.1 seconds, so you do have plenty of pull, like Mason was saying. And as far as the transmission, you've got an ECVT. You could probably hear that while you're accelerating. There's no shift simulation or anything like that.
Now, as far as how power is routed to the ground, you do have standard all-wheel drive as well, so I love that they don't mess around with the front-wheel drive variant. You just get the all-wheel drive straight from the start. Now we're on our designated strip of road to talk about ride quality. Now, we did live with this model for the full week, so we drove it several hundred miles. Actually took it on a weekend trip, and that gave us a great impression of the ride quality for this. And I'm very impressed. I think they've done a great job with this Crown Signia of making it feel like a Lexus, and not just talking about cabin quality, but also with the ride quality as well. When you hit a bump in the road, it does a great job of soaking things up. Also, I will point out these seats are incredibly comfortable, one of the most comfortable seats that you can get in any Toyota product, and I imagine if you get the XLE grade with the smaller wheels on the outside, the ride quality will be even better. I went ahead and got out our sound level reader so I could see how quiet it was going 55 miles per hour. We were sitting at 53.8 decibels in the Crown Signia. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to its rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now, looking at those competitors, that does mean it's one of the quietest in its two-row midsize segment. It's actually a little bit quieter, this Crown Signia, than the previous Limited that we tested out last year. I'm sure that's just a difference in the day. It's very, calm outside today, so I will say that probably helps it. But we do have the crossbars installed on the outside, so that's, something that you could also remove if you really want the quietest overall cabin. But what about fuel economy? Let's go ahead and hit the EPA numbers first and foremost. We're sitting at 39 city, 37 highway, 38 miles per gallon combined. And over the course of the past week, we do have, of course, a standard hybrid system. What we were seeing in the real world is 39.1 miles per gallon. And we did drive 358 miles this week. So like I said, we took it on a road trip, so we drove it quite a lot. And, 39.1, that's actually outperforming what the EPA says for the combined rating, and that was both mixed and city driving. I'm impressed with that. A lot of the Toyota hybrids actually do outperform the EPA estimate, so I'm happy to see that on this model. It is less than the Toyota RAV4, though, so we own a RAV4, if you don't know, on the channel, and that's rated about 41 miles per gallon, so it's the 4th gen is not quite as efficient as the 5th gen that we have in our RAV4.
Yeah, and I think it's also not quite as smooth. It's just a little discrepancy, but if you drive them back to back, you do get a feeling like the 5th gen. It just has that extra level of refinement.
Now, that's some pretty great fuel economy, but if you want to keep even more cash in your pocket, you might want to download Upside, a free cashback app. We routinely use Upside to save 10, 20, even 30 cents a gallon on gas in our area. It's super convenient and easy to use, and as an added bonus, Upside is offering Car Confections viewers an extra 25 cents off per gallon of gas on your first tank by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in our video description or the pinned comment when you sign up.
Now time for the Slam Dunk and Airball. For the Slam Dunk, we have to say it's the value, especially what you get standard on the XLE. Because again, we've been talking a lot about, some comparisons between the RAV4. The price discrepancy is not that large, and you really get impressive standard equipment like the heated, ventilated, leather seats as standard, and many other things we pointed out through the video.
Yeah, now on the flip side, what we're going to say, as compared to something like our RAV4, we really wish that this had the latest and greatest 5th gen hybrid system. This car just came out last year. It's not been on sale for very long at all, and it does have one of the older Toyota hybrid systems, and I do think that difference is pretty significant. I think that if we were able to maybe have the 5th gen, it would not only get better fuel economy, but also be a little bit smoother in day-to-day operations. So what about pricing? Well, we started around $44,000 for the XLE trim level, which I think actually represents a really good value for all the features that you get standard on this model. Now, the Limited does ring in a little bit more, so it's $48,790. We also have the Advanced package, and then after we add in a couple accessories, as well as the $1495 destination, a fully loaded Crown Signia is going to run you $54,829. If you're curious as to where it's manufactured, it is manufactured in Japan, which is different than a lot of other Toyota products. And if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing any dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find all of that on our website, carconfections.com. But now it's time to dive into resale reliability and the warranty. First up, let's talk about resale value. Toyota as a brand is rated at 64.5% of estimated retained value in 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 41.4%. Now, it's worth noting that is an extremely good resale value percentage. It's actually the second best brand overall in both the 5-year and 10-year metric.
Now, the same can also be said about Toyota when it comes to reliability. With our latest data for our combined reliability index, Toyota rates as one of the highest mainstream automakers against all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about all of that, you can find that on our website, carconfections.com/resale and /reliability. Now, also, I want to point out your warranty. You have a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain, and you also get 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that wraps up our week-long review of the 2026 Toyota Crown Signia. If you enjoyed hearing about the 2026 changes as well as our week-long impressions after we lived with it, we'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun, and I promise you won't want to miss out on all the car reviews we do. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.